Well, what a joy to celebrate Trudy's life. And how can we even begin to say what Trudy is and was and will always be to all of us who loved her so much and continue to love her and be guided by her. Trudy was wonderful, loving, caring, giving, faith-filled, cheerful, generous, talented, and I had about 20 other adjectives there that I decided for the sake of time we will omit, but which we all know. But I was going to add at the end, and lots of fun too. Surely Trudy was. My connection to Trudy, or actually knowing about Trudy, goes back about as long as our friend Ruth's. When I was in seminary at Hartford, Connecticut, my best friends were Julia and Gilbert Ansray, who were good friends. Their family, the whole Ansray family, were good friends of the Browns in Ghana. So I heard about Trudy and Dick before I even met them. But then our main connection went to the fact that we both were with the United Church Board for World Ministries, the Browns in Ghana and myself in Angola. And on furlough, we'd meet occasionally at a board conference, furlough conference, at synod, or what have you. But our real friendship began when Trudy and Dick moved to the Southeast in 1978, which is the same year that I came to the Southeast, to Atlanta, having left Angola, and I came to be the Southern Regional Staff for the United Church of Christ Office for Church Life and Leadership. So, and shortly after that, married Ed Brown, and Ed and I, from various times, would come to Pleasant Hill, stay with Trudy and Dick, and enjoy Trudy's wonderful, wonderful hospitality. And Trudy was very, very active, as all of you know, in the United Church of Christ, locally and regional, conference-wise and regionally. And I knew especially about Trudy's contributions to women's ministries. Trudy was often on the Women's Commission that I staffed. She usually was on the planning committee for one of our conferences and almost always had some role to play and did it wonderfully, whether it was a women's meeting at conference level or region or beyond. And we also connected up many times for things related to United Church Board for World Ministries. But something amazing happened related to women's ministries in one of those meetings, and actually it happened at the end of the meeting, and it happened in 1983. There was a women's conference here at Dubose, Mont Eagle, and some of us in this room were present, but at the end, and I can't remember why, but 4 of us ended up in a room together on the first floor, kind of evaluating the conference. And it was Shirley Tucker and Michael Ann Sabine and Trudy and myself. And God worked some kind of a miracle that afternoon, because all of a sudden we found we just had the most wisdom in the world, all 4 of us, and we needed to share it with one another for the sake of the church, for the sake of our families, for the sake of Africa, for the sake of the world. And the conference ended at noon, and we stayed there talking till it must have been supper time, I think. I lived in Atlanta. They were here close at the time in Crossville. And anyhow, we formed a sisterhood that was so rich that after we finished the conference and our talking all the rest of the afternoon, we formed a special group, the 4 of us, a sisterhood, and we actually had a secret society. And we gave it the initials STS. And because it was a secret society, I can't tell you what those initials stand for, but we do know that Trudy was a kind and generous and forgiving and understanding person, so she'll let me tell you. The STS stood for Sisters Talk Session. Sisters Talk Session, and that STS saved the four of us for the next 20 years because we decided we needed a camp without campers. We needed some place that we could be, the four of us, and have our own conference, meeting, whatever. So what we did was every few months, the four of us, the three of them from Crossville and then eventually from Pleasant Hill, and myself and occasionally another friend from Atlanta would come to Chattanooga, find a cheap motel, and for 24 hours have an STS. And it was fantastic. Sometimes Femi Young, for those of you that remember Femi from Chattanooga, would join us for part of it, and sometimes someone else. But it was us four, that STS. We were sisters in the deepest, we are sisters, above and here, in the deepest sense of the word. I asked Michael Ann to help me remember something about those STS sessions, and this is what she said. It was only a couple of women's meetings that we realized we enjoyed being together and decided to find more time to be together without dealing with a crowd. We needed a camp without campers. The trust and warmth we had was delightful. Not many people can you talk about anything with. It was sort of like an adult slumber party. We talked and talked and talked for 24 hours, and then we talked some more. We talked about everything: family affairs, church business, the country, the world, TV shows, you name it, we talked about it. Dick could never understand what we had to talk about and why and why we never finished. But we never did. Anyway, we'd talk all night, and then we'd have breakfast, lunch, and then we'd go home refreshed. It was a time that we took for ourselves, and it was sort of like filling or refilling the well, if you will. Also during those sessions, many good ideas were generated, especially for women's ministries, for programming, for justice advocacy, and a lot of encouragement for each of us took place, and a lot of fun. I can remember so many times laughing till we cried, again and again. One of those meetings, I recall, talking about ideas, something that happened when Michael Ann, as usual, was spinning these programming and advocacy ideas. And I remember Trudy said, "Oh dear, here we go. Michael Ann gets an idea and we get a job." And there was always lots and lots of work, and of course, Trudy was first and foremost committing herself to it. One of my favorite memories, fondest memories of Trudy was the week that she and I spent together in 2001 in Kansas City. There's a picture of the two of us and a bull or a cow, I don't know which, on the collage back there. Kansas City, Missouri that year was into cows, statues all over downtown. Anyway, we weren't there for the cows. We were there because it was General Synod, and Trudy had been chosen as the honored laywoman for Southeast Conference, also Michael Ann the same year. And they were being honored at a special banquet, women's banquet at Synod, a great honor, and Trudy and Michael Ann both certainly deserved it. But Trudy and I roomed together that week because Dick was with Ted rooming, producing that left-leaning radical newsletter, Balaam's Courier, that enlivened and enriched every General Synod for decades. So Trudy and I roomed together, and we were in a very inexpensive, meaning old, hotel. I think it was 100, 200, I don't know how old it was, but we shared a double bed. The bed took up the whole room. And if one of us turned over, the bed rattled, the windows shook, and you thought the hotel was going to fall down. So you know we laughed and laughed night and day. Well, we had a wonderful week together. I have so many memories of Trudy. What a gift, what a gift. But everyone here could probably say the same thing. We were so we are continues. We are so loved, so nurtured, so affirmed by Trudy. She had a gift from God for making each one of us feel special, making each one of us feel affirmed. And I'd want to close with one expression that we use in Angola. Where's Robin? In Angola, when we're talking about somebody who is super, who is just what God intended them to be, we use a word called omunu. And I'm sure this same concept must exist in Ewe or in other Ghanaian languages. But what it is, the word means, omunu means person. And it means someone who is fully what God intended. Omunu wo chili, all that God intended. And someone who has used and does use all the gifts that God gave her. Trudy surely was and continues to be for all of us an omunu. Thank you, Trudy, for being an omunu, for the great gift from God that you were and continue to be for all of us. And thanks be to God. Amen.